taking me back to my roots of the L-39 days. I just can't get it out of my blood.
Fans are cool, but build some other Zeniths, or you said slings, or...
This is off the gun finish, so it's already pretty slick, pretty close. The pilatus, this is the fuselage. The striping is almost done on this.
All right, hey everyone, welcome back to One-Legged Aviation. I'm Brandon, and today I'm here at Evoke World Headquarters for paint and aircraft design. I'm here with Jonathan. And Jonathan, you are owner, head painter. What's exactly your role and title here?
Both. So my name is Jonathan McCormick. I'm the owner of Evoke Aviation. I am the head painter and chief bottle washer, bathroom cleaner, whatever needs to be done that day. So that's what I'm here doing. Just trying to keep this boat floating and keep moving Evoke in the right direction.
Okay, so you do everything here.
We do a little bit of everything. So primarily aircraft paint scheme design for pretty much any kind of aircraft. Anything that flies, we'll design. And then in terms of paint, we're focused primarily on the home-built experimental market, like what you're building. So we're focusing on working with builders and people who have really spent a lot of time and effort to build a plane and achieve that milestone. And then our team here at Evoke, we take it over the finish line.
That's awesome. So as most of you guys know, I'm building a Zenith 750 Super Duty. And when I first started this project, I knew I wanted to have a cool paint job. So I reached out. I live in the Huntsville, Alabama area. And I started searching paint shops around, aviation paint shops. And Evoke popped up. And so we are here in Gadsden, Alabama.
Yep,
Right?
here in Gadsden, the Northeast Regional Airport.
Okay.
Northeast Regional Alabama Airport. Northeast Alabama Regional Airport. There we go. All right, I got some help back there in the back. We'll get it out.
All right, that's good. So yeah, we're here today, and like little did I know, Evoke. I started researching. You guys are, I want to say, world famous. Like you guys have aircraft paint schemes all over the world that you've done, or?
We have aircraft paint schemes literally all over the world. Like you said, anywhere people are flying planes, I think we've been fortunate enough to design paint schemes for customers there. That part of the process is digital. So we do a lot of that via emails, phone calls, and then we can transfer all the information they need to paint in an airplane just anywhere across the globe.
That's awesome. I want to get back to that process here in a little bit. So first off, so how did you get started in painting, or did you start painting, or did you always know you wanted to do aviation type paint, or so how did you get started in that?
So when I started, I didn't even know that aviation painting really existed.
Yeah.
I started off painting my own stuff, painting go-karts, painting my own cars, working on stuff, and then I went to college and did a 2-year collision repair program. Went on to compete nationally, was doing pretty well and excelling at the collision repair industry. But to be honest, I found it a little bit boring. I always wanted to do something a little more custom, a little more exciting, and it was always a dream of mine to really get into that world. And right out of college, there was a paint shop being built here in Gadsden for international jets. And when they opened the doors, a friend of mine was working here basically as a custodian and said, "Hey, they're building a paint shop. You should come check it out." And I came in here and there were L-39s everywhere and L-29s. And I walked in. It was the first time I'd ever been around an aircraft. I was 20 years old and I signed up.
No way.
I sold my soul and I said, you know what? It's airplanes from here on out. And that was it for me. So that's all I've touched since.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think that's the best thing about aviation too. Like once you're around it or something, you don't want to leave it. Like I love aviation. I love being around it. And no, that's just so cool how you kind of got started with it. And you're like, that's where I want to do. That's what I want to be.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fantastic story. So how long ago was that?
So that was 2008 when I
Okay.
first
Wow.
got into painting aircraft. And then I worked there for international jets for quite a while. Ended up managing the shop. Went to Nigeria for almost a year for a stint to paint some Nigerian Air Force planes.
Oh, wow.
Came back from that and was managing that facility for international jets. And then we started the design company. So the design company picked up. I ended up leaving international jets just to focus on the paint scheme design industry. And then about a year later, international jets closed their doors and there was an opportunity for me to come in and take back over the facility. And I was still here locally. So it made a lot of sense. So I just moved right back into the international jets facility, got the band back together, called my crew, and opened up the doors in October of 2016.
Okay.
And so the first day we opened the doors, we had an L-39 sitting in there, painting it. So
That's
right out of the
awesome.
gate, it was just me and two other guys, and
That's
we
great.
made a go of it.
That's a fantastic story. I mean, you guys have looks like you got a cool crew here, and you guys do a lot of hard work. And just from some of the videos I've been seeing that you guys do and painting, and so when you paint, like say a jet or L-39, is there any difference the type of paint or any process that you got to do between like something a little slower like this or?
There are some different painting processes that you would use for each one. The stuff that we're doing now is much more complex. There's a lot more colors, fades, kind of what we've become known for is a lot of that very intricate airbrush work and
Right.
detail work. And, those processes, a lot of times we'll use different products for. And then when we paint something a little bit faster, I have like a 250 mile an hour rule. So if it's over 250 miles an hour, we kind of have one process for it. If it's under that, we can do a little more of the intricate work
Oh,
and
no
then
way.
lock everything down with the aviation products. So it's done really well for us.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't really kind of think to know that different processes for faster aircraft. That's cool. Um, so when you're painting, well, how many airplanes do you think you painted so far? Just
Oh gosh, I have no idea.
just too
Um,
many?
Too many to count.
Okay.
A lot of times I'll see stuff and I recognize it. I know every single airplane that I've ever painted.
Sure.
I'll
Yeah.
pick it out of a lineup very easily. But yeah, I don't even think about it. I'm so worried about the next plane that
Yeah.
usually when one's done, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and I'm focused on the next one and making it the best airplane we've painted since. So
Yeah.
every time we paint another project, we're looking for the next step. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure all those planes I've seen, I think now that I've been researching you guys, like I can tell like that looks like an Evoke designed plane or Evoke painted. And I'm sure not every aircraft you guys do is the best you've ever done, and just keep pushing forward with that great work that you guys are doing.
We definitely try. We definitely put our full effort into it, and that's really the company culture that we've built is just to do better every single time. If we figure out a little bit better way to do something, we do it that way. Sometimes that can be our own worst enemy sometimes because
Yeah.
we end up doing too much and over the top, but that's really why people are lining up for us to paint their planes is because they know that we're going to treat it like it's our own
Yeah.
and we're going to do the absolute best we can with the build. So, um, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, really. This,
I'm sure.
whatever I was born with, is definitely challenging sometimes, but it's also very rewarding.
You always want to make perfection and make sure it's great, and like you probably can't always do that. That's kind of what I learned too, building my airplane. Like I want to make everything perfect, and I'll ask some questions online. People are like, "You're not building the space shuttle or a fighter jet. Like that's just good
Hmm.
enough." And so sometimes I guess you gotta learn that balance.
It's really hard to overcome. Nothing's ever quite good enough. It could have been a little bit better, and I think that's something that I definitely relate to builders very well about because they come in here, drop off a plane, and they'll see every imperfection, every single bucking mark. They remember exactly what happened and who dropped it and who did what.
Yeah.
And I just have to assure them we're going to take care of it. We're going to make sure nobody can see it, and we're going to take care of all that issues. So I think that really that relatability with somebody putting that much effort into a plane has been a big part of kind of growing this.
Yeah. That's another thing I want to get into too. So I've been watching some of your guys' videos that you're putting out lately, and some of the cool videos I found. I forget who was doing it, but he was showing the process. I think there's an engine cowling. He's like talking about the builders. He's like, "Hey, look, when you're building, you want to do this for this hinge pin." So when you guys get an airplane in here, you guys do a lot of repairs and stuff, don't you? Like kind of, I don't know what do you guys do then?
We do a lot of repairs. I mean, obviously, we're just a paint shop. We're not
Right.
selling ourselves as a build assist facility or somebody that's gonna,
Sure.
do a lot of that major work. But there are some cosmetic things that the builder may struggle with that we will help them kind of get it done.
Right.
We have the capacity and the capability to do that.
Yeah.
Um, we've had some aircraft that were older builds and they needed canopies built and new skinning done or, just flight controls replaced and reskinned. I mean, we've done that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But ultimately, we're a paint shop.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to get into that part of it.
Sure.
But what we do is whatever it takes to get the ultimate paint job on that plane. Because we don't want to paint something and then it become an issue later on. We want to go ahead and handle those issues. Let you paint it one time, and then
Yeah.
you fly that airplane for another 20, 25 years, and it doesn't come up again.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's like a work of art. You know, you got masterpieces back here, and builders like me, we spend a lot of money and time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into this, and you want a cool, kick-ass paint job that's going to last, and
Mm-hmm.
you want a professional. And I know, just working on mine and priming it in my little hangar there. I know I do not want to paint my own aircraft.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work that you guys put into it, and it's definitely a skill set that you guys have. So it's just impressive, what you guys do with these things.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It is always nice to show people what we do and really what goes into it. And I think a lot of times you have to see it or do it to really appreciate
Right.
just the amount of effort across the whole process
Yeah.
to get that last 1% out of a paint job. You know, you can get it at 90%, 95%, but taking it to 100 just is a big challenge.
Right. Is that where you get hung up? It's kind of your personality. You're like, oh, I got to get there. It's like, this is
It's
good
ex-
enough, but
it's exactly right.
got to push a little more.
There's not really good enough really isn't something that I like.
Right.
It's either right or it's wrong. It's done or it's not done. And the level of done here is just a very high degree of quality. And you'll see that we've built that into the operation. When I started the company, there was no intention of building this big thing. When I went in to build Evoke, it was, I want to build a boutique that paints a small amount of airplanes with a
Right.
very highly skilled small team. And we just do the best work possible.
Yeah.
And that caught a lot more traction than I
Sure.
thought it would initially. So a lot of the processes we built have been because of the demand for what we do, which has been surprising. It's exciting and rewarding and very cool to see a community just supporting it. So I'm excited to show you
Yeah. No,
the
I'm
shop when we get a
excited
chance to go around.
walk around and see your process and see everything you guys do here. So it's definitely exciting. I'm glad I was finally able to come down here. Um, so yeah, and speaking of your aircraft, got a buddy. He's building an RV-10, and it's kind of interesting. We went down and picked his. So he bought a tail kit a couple years ago. He sold it, didn't want to get into it. Then he bought it back from the guy. So we went back a couple weeks ago to pick up his tail kit, and I saw one of your aircraft there. It's another RV-10, super great looking. I think it's orange, gray,
Hmm.
white, beautiful looking paint job. So it's like, it's really nice. I wanted, then I saw the Evoke badge on the side. I was like,
Hmm.
oh wow, I'm seeing you guys all over the place.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear from people when they go to, especially Oshkosh or Sun and Fun or the big shows where there's a lot of RVs all next to each other,
Right.
and we get a lot of that feedback. I can tell which planes you painted
Yeah.
from across the field.
Sure.
So you're doing something right, and then people go look under the stabilizer and look for that Evoke Signature Series placard,
Yeah.
and our
So-
customers go. It's amazing how many people come up to me and ask if Evoke painted it, and
Right.
just to have that, I guess, that level of craft and
Yeah.
care that people can recognize it and see it from a distance is just really cool.
So, while we're talking about the Evoke Signature Series, what is exactly that?
So the Evoke Signature Series is an aircraft that we have done the paint scheme design on, and then also brought it through our paint process here. So that Evoke Signature Series placard is just for that class of aircraft that we've worked through our entire system from the design process and paint. A lot of times that's a years long process because
Yeah.
our wait list is so long.
Sure.
So a lot of times we start to communicate with the builder very early on in the build, and then work through that whole process. And then at the end of it, you get that nice Evoke Signature Series placard, and we're doing them in order, so every one of them is numbered.
No way.
And then
Okay, I didn't
that's
realize that.
yeah. So that's a great thing because it helps us keep everybody in line in the schedule. Everybody kind of knows where they're at, where their position is. And then some of our customers just love the fact that there's like a serial number. That's a one of one.
Yeah. No
It's
way.
got a
That's-
number
I
associated.
bet.
There are some numbers that people fight over and want
Okay.
more than others, It's just
That
like,
makes sense.
yeah,
It's an aviation thing.
it's like registration numbers or anything else. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a fun thing to manage.
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, I guess I'll mention too. So Evoke, you guys do, like you were saying, you do the. Well, so you have Evoke aircraft design, and then you got aircraft Evoke paint. So for you guys if you're interested in getting like a design built by them or made, so you can still get your designs right. Like you said, you can go back and forth. It doesn't matter where you live. You can have Chris over at the design team help design it, and then you give everything they need, and they can take it to their local paint shop.
Yeah, that's
Same
exactly
thing.
right.
So
Exactly right. So we've got Chris, Autumn, and Scotty on our design team here. They've all got different styles, different things that they really excel at, and different tastes. So depending on the project, we assign you with a designer that designs more in that style. And then, like you said, the design process is going to be really a very broad spectrum. So some people come to us and say, "Hey, I like blue, silver, black." Come up with something, and then some of the designs are going to be, "Hey, a little more specific." So that process really depends on the builder. You know, some people have been building and dreaming about a particular design,
right.
and so then some other projects just start off a little more, generic,
Yeah.
and then they just put their creative ideas on paper and start to show you what that airplane can look like. And the great thing about having the design team here, which is unique to any other design company, is they're not just designing, but they're seeing the application of the paint. So there's a very clear understanding of what you can and can't do and why. So
sense.
they understand the products, the application process, what it takes to do that. So when they're designing, even for projects that are outside of here, they have that hands-on experience and they're seeing it firsthand what the application looks like. And so at any time, if we have issues, we go to the design team, hey, take a look at this, that sort of thing. So that's really helpful to really bridge the gap between
Sure.
just a concept and being able to apply it to the aircraft.
Oh, that's awesome. So I know I've been working on my design, I think, with Chris for 6 months now. I know I reached out to you guys, and you guys said you'd help me design my aircraft paint scheme for One-Legged Aviation on my Super Duty. So it's been awesome working with you guys. And then kind of towards the end of this interview, I'm going to talk with Chris about your more into the design process, and we're actually going to reveal my design for the Super Duty. So it'd be
Oh, we're doing the
premiere today, I guess.
reveal today?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Super excited to share that process and share it with you guys. So before we go do a little tour, if you don't mind, check out some of these aircraft. I'm gonna say, like, what's your favorite color to paint? I guess, or we'll ask you what's like the hardest color to paint, and then like what's your favorite color to paint?
Oh gosh. So my favorite is a unique color of any kind. Really, there are some very standard aviation colors, and then we've got this airplane back here. Maybe you can show a clip of it or something. The green one that you saw when you walked in. So it's really exciting to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then as far as challenging colors, it's the ones you don't expect. It's always the color that looks like it's going to be easy, that's going to fight you.
Yeah.
And so, we just work through those issues. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
So yeah, let's go ahead and take a walk around. And seriously, you guys, if you're interested in getting designs by Evoke, you guys check them out, and I'll post your links and websites in this video, and just follow them. And yeah, so I think you guys are a great company to work with so far, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you guys.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's
Thank
go
you.
ahead and walk around.
Come on, let me show you around Evoke.
Yeah, no. So what's this hangar here? Is this just like the finished hangar? What are we looking at here?
So we are in basically the delivery and assembly hangar. We're going to be doing our sanding and buffing up here, our final assembly, and then we've got a couple of planes here that are just back for some minor touch-ups. So every couple of years, I mean, these aircraft, they've got composites on them that crack and that sort of thing. So these are back for just some real minor repairs. I think in one of the videos you mentioned where we're splitting the cowling, that's the airplane we're splitting the cowlings on.
Okay.
So we're back just modifying that one a little bit. So these two are back. They were signature series from a few years ago. And then this is the latest RV10. We just rolled this thing out of the paint booth this morning. So we clear coated it last night. This is the Evoke Signature Series 75.
This is beautiful. I love that color. I almost might have to change my paint scheme.
Yeah,
Chris might scream at me, but
he doesn't mind. It's easier to do on a computer.
do you get that a lot? Like customers, they'll have their whole paint scheme, and they're like, "No, I want to change it."
We do. Yeah, we do have some people reset, and we're perfectly fine with that. I mean, really, when you sign up, it is an unlimited service. And we stick to that. You know, we'll continue to work on it until you're happy with it. And especially with builders who may take years to build, the ideas come and go and things
Sure.
change, and they may see something different that they like a little more. So,
So the thing I found building my Super Duty, I'm trying to get it done in about 2 years, and it's all structural blind rivets. If I don't say that right, people will get mad at me. They're like pop rivets, but anyway. So, but with the RVs, with solid rivets and bucking, people are just spending 4, 5, 6 years on these things. So I can only imagine that just taking a while and changing. So when this aircraft came in, was it just bare aluminum?
bare aluminum, bare composites. This build was a continuation. The customer we're painting this for, his father had started this build. He unfortunately passed away before he was able to finish the aircraft. So his son, Brad, took over the project and finished it, which has been really cool to be a process or part of this process and finishing this airplane. But you get a lot of those kinds of stories where, it's more than an airplane, right? There's just so much more to it than, flying metal. It's a part of his family, really.
Yeah. Where's this one based out of? Is it going to be based out of?
Where is he based? Georgia? Okay, he's close to us too. He's one of our.
Yeah. See, you got to get a signature series in every state.
Yeah, that's a good goal. That's a really good goal.
It just looks great. And I don't know how you can tell on camera here, but just how great this looks and how everything pops and how shiny it is. And does this still have to go through? You said it just pulled out of the paint clear coat last night, so you still got to polish it and do all that?
Yep, so it's going to cure out for a couple of days. This is off the gun finish, so it's already pretty slick, pretty close, but we're actually going to take it through a multiple step sanding process now. So we'll sand any imperfections out of it. We'll sand any of the paint lines out of it, and then we're going to buff it. It's like a 3-stage buffing process, but we'll start with, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 grit sandpaper, and then go through the buffing stages. And by the time that's done, it's going to be slick.
That's awesome. And then minus the design process, how long does it usually typically take once the airplane arrives here and once it flies out of here?
So we have them for months. We do have them for quite a while working through the body shop. 4.5 months has been about our current turn time.
Yeah.
But we're looking to we're really focusing this year on trying to get those times down and working through our processes just to iron them out a little bit better.
That's not bad though for this level of paint job. I mean, and to each their own. I know people, they want to paint in their own hangar, and if they want a rattle can of paint job, I mean that's cool on them. But if they want a cool paint job, so it's just all, I guess, their preference.
Yeah, there's a need for all of it. There's definitely we can't paint every airplane, and not every airplane needs a show paint job on it.
Yeah.
And so we like to support all of the other paint facilities and in whatever capacity we can. So, you can see this thing is covered in dust, but I promise it's very slick under all that.
And you're just doing the cowling on this?
Yeah, we're doing the cowling, and you can see we're working on making the rudder cap up there removable. So we've got that cut loose and nut plates and everything sorted, so that piece is going to be removable now. I believe they're putting a camera under it or something. So
this is Signature Series 54.
Number 54.
Which means that's the 54th aircraft you guys painted here, or?
So we started the Evoke Signature Series pretty far along into
Okay.
the company. That was really something that once I guess 2021, 22 is when we started doing the Signature Series. But we had painted a lot more aircraft without the number.
Okay.
But once we started that,
That's
so
cool.
we do have some Evoke planes out there with no placard on them.
Yeah.
Kind of the pre-Signature Series planes.
Well, I didn't know that you guys, the Signature Series, was part of a serial number, so thanks a lot for this. And now I think I need to get on the wait list so I can be part of the Signature Series.
Yeah. Yeah, you can pick that number best you can. Really just build it and let us know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, where else you want to?
Not too much in here. This is just right now the RV10 corral.
What's your, I guess you get a lot of RVs in here, a lot of vans.
Mostly, we have some projects in here now that are, you know, a little bit unique, a little longer term warbird projects, but those are really just something that we're working in as we can.
Okay.
So the next building we're going into is our primary paint facility. That is where most of our larger paint booths are at, where we're doing all of our base coat application, striping, clear coating is all happening in this building. We have built a little bit of extra hangar space, or we've got some extra hangar space for the body shop. So we've got all that separated, so that team can do as much sanding as necessary and that sort of thing.
So I guess you can never have too much hangar space.
You can never have too much hangar space. Every time it becomes available, we get it if we can, and then we find a way to fill it up really quickly. After you. All right, so we are in the belly of the beast now. This is the main paint shop. So we've got our paint booths behind us. We've got basically a 60 by 80 paint booth that can be opened up to use as one big paint booth, or you'll see we've got it sectioned up now into 4 20-foot bays, or however we need to split it depending on the size of the airplane.
So that's the curtains basically?
Yeah, so we can split it with the curtain walls. It's a really good system. It's really flexible for us. We've gone through phases where we've painted bigger aircraft, smaller aircraft. We've got sections of parts in here where we're kind of working through those, doing body work.
Can we walk up in here? Or?
You can. Yeah, if you want to walk in there and see. Not too exciting in here, really. We've just got some parts and pieces that we're getting ready to prime. So we've got...
Look at that. That's all the, I guess, filtration,
Yeah, as you walk in here, you can feel a little bit of air moving through here. So it's a little bit of fresh air moving through. We've got filters in the top, and then it's pulling out the back fan banks. We've just got some flat pieces here. We're about to put some primer on those, just fix some dents. Okay. And we've got something a little bigger here. So this is a Pilatus PC9 wing.
Oh, that's a cool aircraft.
Yeah, we're painting it in sections. So it's a little easier to move around. It doesn't take up too much booth space.
I'm guessing that prep work's probably the hardest part, getting everything. I hated when I primed mine, which is getting everything prepped up and taped off.
Yeah, the prep work is really, we call ourselves painters, but we're airplane preppers that do a little bit of painting. So most of the work we're doing is always going to be prep. So it's 90% prep, especially when we're doing different colors and we're taping. We might tape for 2 days for, a couple of hours of spraying the actual base color.
Oh, wow.
So this booth you can see is a little more opened up. We've got the RV10 in here.
That's a lot of RV10s.
A lot of RV10s. We've had a lot on the schedule. So
there's more Zeniths in here. We need to get some Zenith fill.
We haven't had any Zeniths in here for quite a while, so we're excited to, get some in here. But the 10 here, we've got just rolled it in. We rolled the other one out yesterday. We rolled this one in this morning, and the team is already hanging up parts. They are getting ready to put the next color on it. The plane's been striped.
Is everyone here, are they painters or apprentices or?
So these guys in the back are all painters. David is our mechanic and also does our striping. So he's been doing our stripe layout. My brother as well. So my brother loves it. He's a builder too. So he's building an RV6.
Oh, cool.
And does a lot of the major airframe work and changes, that sort of thing. And then of course, final assembly and disassembly.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, well, if somebody wants to get into aircraft painting, I know. So with One-Legged Aviation, I'm trying to get more people involved, whether it's a mechanic, a pilot, or now even a painter. Like if they want to get involved in this, like what's something they would do?
So a lot of our technicians, we're hiring entry level, typically from like the automotive collision repair industry, where I came from, or high school programs. that sort of thing. Basically, people that are looking to go into this field of work and looking to learn. A lot of times, we do things so differently than the aviation industry as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, it's less of a. We're a little more technical. We're more of like a hot rod shop of airplanes.
I get that.
So it's a little harder for us to hire directly into this field.
Yeah.
And so we hire a lot of entry level technicians to train and then do it the way we do it. And then that kind of continues the culture of just, you know, the quality we're looking for. But
I was talking to the ag pilot, and he's saying like anybody that wants to get involved, be a prop duster, you know, they start out, they go and be a technician and learn things, and kind of work their way up. So I guess maybe kind of like that, just learn a little bit and hang out and start small and then work your way up, maybe.
yeah, I mean, really, our entry level positions, you're typically cleaning and you're doing rivet scrubbing and you're doing stuff that's like not too technically challenging. And then typically from there, you're going to go into spraying a little primer. And then once you're really proficient at priming, you might move into base coat or clear coat and that sort of thing. So it's really a progression of skills, and you just stack those skills. So our painters here, most all of them have gone through every level of that, so they have an understanding of what it is they're painting over. Some of these guys, like Billy back here, we actually went to college together in like 2006. So I've known some of these guys and been working with them for literally 20 years, which is great. Larry, who I'll introduce you into in the body shop, he manages that shop, and he actually trained me in 2008 to paint planes, and he's still here working and managing our body shop, which is
It's awesome.
it's great. You got to have that kind of experience.
Sure. But you got to pay your dues and work your way up.
Yeah.
I can see that being a cool profession for somebody wanting to get into painting and work your way up. That wouldn't be a bad profession at all.
It's not bad. I think there are a lot of tasks that are very detailed, can be a little tedious. You'll see, especially in the body shop when you're sanding for sometimes weeks on end.
Oh, man.
You have to really enjoy what you're doing and love it. But, a lot of times you can put your headphones in, listen to music,
Chill out, yeah.
and just sand. The day goes by pretty quick.
Cool. And then we got more parts hanging out. That's for the RB10. We saw another hanger.
Yeah, so these are the rest of the parts. They're a little too wet still to cut down and start stacking them up. So we're just letting them air dry, get some fresh air, a little sunlight here. Those will cure out, and we'll move those up to the other hanger. Be great for us because we'll be able to cut down some parts, free up some stands, and get ready for the next airplane.
I noticed when I did my priming, I got some wire and I hung everything from the rafters, and it's like, all right, cool. And I went and sprayed, and they all started flying everywhere. And it's like, so.
Yeah, you'll see we have some tricks to hanging some of this stuff up. We'll hang some of these. So we've got just bottles of water hanging from it for a weight to kind of keep them pulled down, depending on how they hang, and
That's a good idea.
some different tips and tricks. So you figure it out. You want to make them easy to paint.
Yeah, I should have looked into that. That's awesome. Cool. So where's the next you want to go?
So we'll keep going this way.
Okay. We'll walk around here. It's pretty impressive here. Like, this is a big operation you have going.
We've got a lot of parts and pieces moving around through here. So back in the back over there, we've got our paint mixing room. So that's where we can do all of our custom mixing. This section here is a little bit of just a intermediate section where we can stage our next airplanes that are going into the booth. So we've got 2 planes here that are just waiting on the next available space. You can see we've got, dirt and dust and stuff because we're still doing a little bit of fine tuning. But as soon as we're ready, these will roll straight into the paint booth. They've already been through the entire process in the body shop, and they're just ready for the fine tune and the base coat. So these aircraft, we'll put them together at least 3 to 4 times when we're going through the process. We'll do, initially some heavy fine tuning when it comes in, and then during the body shop process, they smooth out a lot of stuff. It goes back together, and then we do a final QC as well. So before it goes into the booth, we want to make sure everything still fits and functions correctly and nothing's rubbing or touching, that sort of thing.
So I guess that kind of gets into, I know you guys aren't like a body shop or maintenance, but you still got to, I guess, fix some of these things before you paint, because if you paint on top, that's probably not going to be the best.
Yeah, I mean, especially with us, we chase trophies, right? So a lot of the stuff they're looking at is fitment on the fairings, and the way the ends of the flight controls are all blended in and smoothed in. So we want to make sure all that stuff's right. Stuff like making sure the ailerons are even with the back of the wingtips. I mean, all those little things really add up at the end of it. So
Speaking of trophies, I want to go for a Lindy, but
the Lindy can be in sight for sure. It's not easy. It gets harder every year with so many builders, and everybody's really stepping up their game. Every year gets a little more competitive.
and I know they say it's not just paint, but I'm sure paint might help.
Yeah, paint helps a little bit. We nudge it across the finish line a little bit sometimes, but ultimately they're looking at more than just the paint. The paint really is that initial first look into, it's your first impression.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to judge the quality of an airplane by how it looks, and the paint is the first thing that catches your eye.
Right.
So
No, absolutely.
it's just a big factor in the whole thing, the whole process.
Other things too, you start looking at paint, and then you start seeing things, and then you just start looking closer and closer, and so you want to start off with a good canvas and make sure it's good.
So I want to apologize. The place is a little messier than I normally like it. It's not quite as well organized, but you're seeing, how the sausage is made in here, and
it's paint shop in action, Myers.
Yeah,
that'd be perfect.
So we can keep going through. I got a couple more paint booths. These two, we'll probably just have to stick in this first one. We got something in the other one we can't really show on camera.
Oh, okay.
So we'll stick in here. This is, the Pilates. I'll show you after. Don't worry. No filming in there. But we've got the other part of this Pilates. This is the fuselage. The striping is almost done on this. So you can see just from the floor, and we're working on it. We're taping, we're slinging stuff. We'll come in here and sweep it up and reset and put some color on this. But it's
I like that gold.
It is gold.
That's kind of reminds me. I saw the other one you guys did is super intricate. A lot of bright colors. I think it had like purple, yellow, maybe some gold on it.
Oh yeah, we just finished. I think it was another RV10 that had a lot of unique colors on it.
Awesome. And then you see a couple comments, people are like, "That's too loud," and they're like, "What about resale value?" I was like, nobody's really worried about resale value if you're painting a masterpiece like that. It just looks. I thought it was beautiful.
All the airplanes that I really like are always the ones that are a little more controversial. Yeah. If you wanted to build an airplane that everybody wanted, there's no point in building your own airplane. Build it the way you want it.
Yeah.
If you want something unique, and you shouldn't be thinking about selling it when you're building it, or you're not having as much fun with it as you could. Build it for you and enjoy it. Let the haters hate and just have fun.
That's right. That's cool. I can't wait to see this one since it's done. It is. I was thinking it's a Pilates, but I was thinking it's a bigger airplane. So this looks like it's just a two-seater kind of trainer.
Yeah, it's a trainer. This one was retired from the Australian Air Force. So it's been around the world, other side of the hemisphere, and came back. So now private buyers bought it. Now that these things have been retired, and it's getting a new life, new engine, new paint, new avionics, the whole thing. So
it's so cool. I appreciate you showing us around. It's really neat to be able to get inside here and see exactly how you guys do this, and all the work that goes into this, and striping, and all that is just a lot of hard work you guys do. So this thing maybe kind of be underappreciated by some people.
Hopefully somebody will appreciate it out there too. We'll show them.
That's cool. I can't wait to see this done.
It's going to be cool.
Now you said this is the body shop here? Or?
No, so we've got another building. We've got another office. I'll take you through the breezeway, and show you a little bit about the graphic design, cutting, and the masks, and part of that process that we work through. Got in this breezeway, we've got it humidity controlled, and we're cutting all of our graphics in here. So when we do a design, we are able to actually produce a full scale stencil for the layout. So on the airplane that was in the paint booth, you might have seen some of that yellow material on there. That's actually just the paint mask material. Is it still going?
Yes.
Are we good? I'm so long-winded. I could talk about painting airplanes for 3 hours, but you guys don't have time.
No, you're good.
So the yellow material is cut in this room and with this plotter. So what we're doing is scaling this rendering out. We are cutting it, and it is an exact 1-for-1 from the designer's brain onto the airplane. So that really cuts out any kind of ambiguity. When I started painting planes, we did everything by hand.
Right.
And you would lay it out, and you'd step back and you'd take a look at it, and you'd do that for about a day until you got the design right. But now with the complexity of the designs, we just focus a lot more on making sure that they're perfect. And these stencils are an absolutely great way to do that.
So if somebody hires you guys to do their design and come up with the paint scheme and everything, they can also get the stencils.
Yep. So we produce the stencils and ship them out to other paint shops or builders who are painting themselves.
Oh, that's awesome. So they get everything done. They just need to have the painter paint it.
Yep.
And there's probably a lot of good painters out there, you know, body shop guys or hot rod guys that's local to these builders that can do an absolutely fine paint job if they have all the design and materials and all that.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest disconnects. You know, there's a lot of great painters, but the layout is usually the most challenging part, and knowing how to stripe something out. It's just not something that most people do regularly. So the paint stencils are a great way to bridge the gap.
That's awesome.
But yeah. Next stop is the body shop.
All right.
That's our last hangar.
Across the way.
That's across the way.
Okay. All right. So body shop.
This is the body shop. So this is the sanding capital of the world right here.
Huh. Well, first off, you got a jet in here.
Yeah, it's not an RV. It's not an RV project we're working through. This one, taking me back to my roots of the L-39 days. I just can't get it out of my blood, I guess. But we've got the plane. We had to do a strip on it, and we're priming it, doing all the body work on it now. So it's getting there. It's coming along.
You guys are hardcore here, getting everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything.
You guys do any helicopters yet?
We've done some. Really, you know, helicopters are not as easy to move long distances, and there's not as many locally, you know, the Gadsden, Birmingham area.
Yeah.
So we haven't done a lot of those, but our bread and butter is back here. Our babies, the home built, is that's our main focus for sure. So you can see we've got a different variety of airplanes in here. We've got a 14, a Sling TSI, the low wing, and then we've got a RV7, I think,
Good.
back over there.
So we're taking a tour
RV7.
of everything you guys are doing here. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's neat, isn't it?
I'm sorry. So you said we had the Sling and the.
Yeah, we got an RV7A, Sling TSI, and then we've got the 14 there. So this one's bare aluminum.
Okay.
It's getting prepped out, ready for the etch and anodyne process. It had some primer around the rivet lines from where it had been built. So we're removing that, taking it all back down to bare metal.
So real quick, explain the anodyne process, because I know I was talking to Autumn at some point. You guys kind of specialize in spraying anodyne and what that process is.
Yeah, we're still allodyning because we've had such good luck with the allodyne conversion coating over the years, just almost no failures. So we've tried some different conversion coatings and haven't had as good a luck with them. But the allodyne has been awesome.
That's like the pre-treatment for just corrosion control, corrosion inhibitor.
Yeah, so that's going to be the coat you want to put down just between etching it and putting the primer on top. And it's going to give you that extra level of corrosion protection and really help with that.
So I think for mine, I've been using a two-part epoxy primer for the inside, and then I guess on the outside I can do the allodyne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to prime the inside as you're building, and then just use some kind of a lightweight epoxy so it's not adding too much weight. Just something for a little protection.
So I got another buddy. He builds custom hot rods, I guess, in the Huntsville area, and he's gonna paint the inside for me. It's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna prime everything and paint it before I put the two halves together. And then I was thinking the other day, I was like, wait a second. If I paint everything first, put two halves together, then I'm gonna have a bunch of rivets that aren't painted. So
you can probably go back in there and just brush touch them. You know, once you get it put together,
okay,
it's a whole lot easier to paint it apart and then just go back in and do a little brushing here and there.
Okay, I'll think about that.
Maybe something to think about.
Man, you guys have so many vans here. You guys need to start building some. Vans are cool, but build some other Zeniths or You said slings or what's it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll paint anything home built experimental. It's just as far as volume goes, the Vans kits have just been a high volume
Yeah.
build for so many years. We're seeing a lot of that too coming out of COVID. The COVID years, everybody was building, and so we're just working them through whatever we can get our hands on. Really,
Yeah. That's awesome. So I know you. Hard question to answer. What's your favorite airplane? I guess that's been through here that you've seen.
oh
Mine's like
gosh,
the L-39. Yeah.
I can't answer that question.
They're all
I don't
special.
have a favorite. Every one of them is like a child to me when it's done. You can't pick a favorite child. Top three? Oh, that's a good question.
Well, maybe I'll ask you after.
I can't pick my top three kids though. Your
Them
plane.
all. Oh yeah, thank you. The 750 Super Duty. That's the favorite, or will be.
My favorite airplane is one that's put together and flying out of here.
There you go.
That's my next favorite every time. I'm
Actually,
always excited to see them go.
I bet that's probably a pretty cool feeling. Though. You get the airplane in here, bare aluminum, and then you get to the paint process and polish and all that. Then you see it take off out of here. That's probably got to be good.
That is the most rewarding part of the job,
Yeah.
for sure. That last little glimmer of accomplishment before you go back into the paint booth and start sanding again. It's always really nice.
Oh, cool. I appreciate it. We got to walk through your shop and your hangars and see everything. And you guys do a lot of hard work here. And I know you guys aren't probably the cheapest painters out there, but finally walking through here and seeing all the hard work you guys do, I can see why. And if you want like a masterpiece paint, kind of get what you pay for, right? I guess so. And then I think you just said you spend how many hours painting these?
So yeah, on average, most of these airplanes are hitting around 1,000 hours of labor out the door. Some of them even more than that. And I don't even clock my time in on them.
Yeah.
So that's just the rest of the team. And you're really just paying for that extra level of prep, and all the products we use are really the best products you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
So you're paying for longevity. And my goal is always that I do not want to see this airplane again in my career. I'm painting it for the next 20 to 25 years very easily if it's maintained. So you're paying for a long-term investment, and you're paying to get that level of pride and accomplishment. And there's a good feeling when you walk into your hangar and you see an airplane that's just stunning and everybody brags on it. There's something, you can't buy that, right?
Right.
So,
Well, I'm sure you'll be still out here when you're 80, shuffling around doing some paint.
oh gosh, I hope so, if I'm lucky enough.
So, cool. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think after this, we're going to go to the design studio with Chris, and we're going to do the aircraft reveal. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Hey everyone, we are back here in the conference room at the Evoke, and I'm here with Chris, one of the designers here at Evoke Aircraft Designs.
Yeah.
And we're going to go over my paint schemes real quick, how we got to the process, the whole process from the first initial email, going through back and forth designs, and coming up to the final reveal of the 750 Super Duty. So we'll go ahead and walk us through the process about somebody reaching out and they decide to hire you guys to go ahead and do the design process. What happens after that?
Yeah. So as soon as you reach out, we will sit down. I'll look at we send you a design survey, and
Okay.
it'll have a list of questions for
I
you to
remember filling that
answer.
out.
Yeah, about just kind of gauging your interest for
Mhm.
what you're looking for in the design. Talks about colors. When it comes to, do you like more the big swoops? Do you like more angular, geometric type stuff? Which I think is kind of where we leaned toward.
Right.
And so you'll fill that out, send it back to us, and I'll look at those notes and put together some designs to get you started. I'll send those over. We'll work back and forth, refining until we get something that you like.
Awesome. I remember, I think we reached back out to you in July. I talked to Autumn, but then we decided to go ahead and you guys are going to design my paint scheme. And I think it was December. We've kind of been emailing back and forth. And
Yeah.
I think we just kind of finalized the plan or the paint scheme within the last month or so.
Right.
So I kind of want to come down here, do the tour at Evoke, and talk with you before we do the final review here in a minute or two. So we started with, this is kind of one of the first ones you sent me, right?
Yes. So this is version 1. Like I said, you seemed like you liked more of like the geometric angular look, something
Right.
a little bit more modern, a more modern take on like a patriotic design.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to be patriotic, red, white, and blue. And I think talking with you, you're like, well, not traditional. Like you
Yeah.
didn't want to have the traditional wavy flag.
Yeah, it's common to see. I mean, not that 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 looks great.
It does.
Um, to have the waving flag on there, but it is something you see a little bit more often.
Mhm.
So having something that's kind of broken down like this and more abstracted, I think, is something that will set yours apart, make it a little bit more unique, and people will come up and look at it and look at all these little details that we've added. You know, we've got some ghosting incorporated, some fades here and there.
So I like that too. So we got the stars on there, but you can see on the cowling they ghosted and they kind of fade out.
And then, we worked through all kinds of different styles and
Yeah, I got remember getting a lot of feedback from my wife and from friends and other family, and just trying to get it just right. So yeah, I remember that one. And I think I wanted to go after seeing these and sitting on it. I think I wanted to go a little more blue.
mhm,
Um, and I like how you have on there. It's the red, white, and blue, but it's also kind of broken up with the gray in there.
right.
So I do like the ghosted stars there.
Yeah, this
Keep
was
going down the side.
this was where we were kind of starting to refine it into something with a little bit more clear of a vision. Um, it's a little bit more out there, and it get the ghosted stars fading out on the tail up there.
Yeah.
Um, let's see.
And it's hard too because I get all these designs and I show friends and family, and then like you got 5 people that say, "Oh, I really like this one and this one," and then a couple people would be like completely opposite, and they're like, "I like these ones better."
Oh yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, ah,
At the end of the day, you just gotta go with what you like the best, and
yeah,
that's um yeah. So we've got version 7 here. This is where we, as far as terms of the fuselage, this is where we've kind of settled. Um,
right.
and we kind of refine that to what we see here.
So this is awesome. So this will be the official paint design for the 750 Super Duty for One-Legged Aviation. So we see we got the red, white, and blue, gray breaking it up. I got the ghosted stars kind of going from the cowling and going all the way back, kind of getting lighter. And if you can kind of highlight on here,
Hmm.
the tail there. So my dad, he was a deputy U.S. Marshal for 20 plus years. He was in law enforcement, and he's the person that got me and my brother into aviation. We grew up around aviation. He was a pilot, flew numerous aircraft, and I kind of wanted to give us kind of a little nod to him on that because he's the one that got me also into the military and aviation. So I wanted to be the man I am today without him. So wanted to do that for him. And I guess you can't use the official U.S. Marshal star, so I like how
Right.
you kind of changed it up and adapted it a little bit.
We work with what we can.
Yeah, you did a real good job with that. And then
Awesome.
yeah, let's see what
All
else did
right.
we do on here. And I also liked how you got one-legged aviation on there on the midsection there. Oh, that's cool too. If you can you scroll up to the cowling there?
Oh yeah.
There we go. A little Zenith 750. Oh, I like that. I like how you did the 2 different colors there too. That's awesome. Wow, that's pretty cool. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Man, I'm really excited about this. And then do you have the wing version?
Oh yes, yes. So we kind of worked through several different options for the wings, but we kind of ultimately nailed down with just some basic color on there.
I know I wanted to go chrome too, like a lot of it chrome, but I was talking to my wife. She's like, I am not helping you polish that thing. My brother's got a chrome or chrome polished 182, and that thing is a
Hmm.
bear to keep polished and clean. I know we were talking about that.
Right.
So at least we did the leading edges there, so that should be pretty cool. Just a little bit,
Oh yeah,
kind of give
for
it some
sure.
flair. Then I guess as time goes on, if I can get some sponsorships or do a little more with One-Legged Aviation, you can
Right, right.
put your logo
That
on
that
there.
will be a good advantage of having, more blank space to work with. You can include more of those sponsorship logos.
So that's absolutely awesome, man. I'm really impressed with it, everything you've done.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants to hire you guys, the design studio, I think we kind of maybe talked about it, but they can hire you. They go back and forth with the process, and
Mhm.
you guys can actually cut out all these stencils and everything
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So once we've finalized the design, we'll put together a paint guide for the paint shop, and it'll just be a multi-page PDF document that will have pictures of the scheme with referential measurements between certain stripes and particular areas on the plane. Um, they'll they can print that out, put it up in the shop, and it's super easy to look at and reference when they're in their striping. Um, we also can supply a cut file,
Okay.
which is if your shop has the ability to cut vinyl, um, they can use that file to run through their plotter if they're cutting or printing stencils. Um, and that'll be what they'll use to do that. And we generate that with CAD tools, so it'll be
Awesome.
it's quarter scaled, so they'll just scale it up, and it should fit the plane perfectly.
That's great. So if you want to get your airplane designed by Evoke Designs, this is kind of a one-stop shop. They'll get you
Yeah,
everything you need, the paint guide, and send it to your local painter and get you a cool, kick-ass design. I really appreciate all the time you spent with me and getting this dialed in. It might change up a little bit. I'm really impressed with this so far. Though. So,
awesome.
cool. Appreciate it. Thank you for everything you've done.
Very
And we'll see you later.